Yo my people, welcome back to the channel. It's Tyme London and I'm back with another one. Thank you for for the support, for all of you guys that have been supporting. I just checked a while ago, we reached 500 subscribers. Thanks for your support. And if you're just a new subscriber, welcome to the fam. And those that have been supporting from the beginning, thank you for your support. So moving on, I'm back in London now, and if you've been watching my previous videos, you would have noticed that I was away. I was in Africa, I was in Kampala, Uganda, and I traveled back a while ago and I'm back in London right now. And this is why I wanted to make this video, because I wanted to explain to you guys about some requirements that you need while traveling from, depending on where you're going from, or traveling to England, to London, where I am right now. So without further ado, let's go. So because of this whole C-19 situation that's been going on around the world, it's affecting travel a lot. And obviously guys like us that love traveling, we're being affected because we have to go through certain requirements depending on where you're traveling to. Now, for example, I'll just talk about where I just came from, Uganda. So I traveled there a few months ago, and at that time when I traveled, the requirements were a bit different to how they are right now, and I'll explain to you guys in a minute. When I traveled at the time, all I needed to do was to take a C-19 test, and as long as it comes back negative, I was able to travel, which it did. So all I needed was to have my certificate that showed that I was negative, and I was able to travel to Kampala, Uganda, and that's what I did. So as long as you had that certificate, you are good to go. And obviously I produced it here at London Heathrow when I was flying out, and also when I landed in Entebbe, Uganda. Obviously it was a requirement that you produce it and you show it to them, and you're granted entry into the country. So fast forward now, a few weeks ago, when I was traveling back to England, where I live here in London, I was obviously monitoring the situation on uk.gov, which is the main website that actually offers information on things that's going on in the UK. And yeah, so slightly after a few months, a few things changed, and traveling back from certain countries have certain requirements. Now you're probably wondering why different countries require different requirements when you're traveling back to the UK. Now I'll explain that as well. UK has this how can I even put it? They have this thing where all different countries around the world are categorized into like a traffic light system, where some countries are in the green zone, some countries are in the amber zone, and some countries are in the red zone. Now I'll explain that. Those countries which are in the green zone, those are the countries that you can actually go to at the moment with just a negative certificate of your C-19. So if you're, for example, traveling from England and you're going to any of those countries in the green zone, all you need is to obviously test yourself, take that C-19 test. As long as it comes back negative, you can fly out and go. And then when you're coming back, you do the same thing, depending on how long you stay there. Even if it's just a week, you have to test before you come back. Coming back, or traveling to or from the countries in the green zone. Now, if you're going to any other countries in the amber section, those countries are kind of similar. The traveling requirements are kind of similar to those countries that are in the green zone. Again, if you're traveling from England, you still need your C-19 test. As long as it's negative, you're good to go. And vice versa when you're coming back from those countries upon entry into England. But another thing that's changed when you're coming back, which I'll go to in a minute, is kind of different to those countries in the green zone. I hope you guys are keeping up with me, because I don't want to confuse you. Now, if you're traveling to the country in the red zone, which people here, obviously the England government don't really recommend you do, but if you do need to travel there for whatever reasons, for emergencies, for I don't know, you might be going to see your family members, if you really need to go to that country, whether for work or something very important, you can go to those countries in the red section, but when you're coming back, you have to be quarantined, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, and that's a bit different to the ones in the green and the amber section. So now let me talk about Uganda, where I was, right? So Uganda at the moment, as I make this video right now for you guys, Uganda is in the amber zone, right? They're not in the green zone and they're not in the red zone, they're in the amber zone. So traveling to Uganda, like I told you before when I went there, all I needed to do was to get my C19 test, and as long as I was negative, I was good to go. And and that was then. But now, when you're going, it's still the same process. You need obviously to test yourself, because those are the requirements that Uganda have getting into the country. But Uganda itself now, things have changed, because if you're coming from England and you're going to Uganda right now, if you're not vaccinated at the moment, when you land at the Entebbe airport, you need to be tested again. Listen to this. So even if you test yourself from England and you're negative and you travel to Uganda within 72 hours, I believe, you travel to Uganda, when you land there, even though you've got your negative certificate and you're good, if you're not fully vaccinated, you still get you're required at the airport to be tested again for C19 and wait for your results again. So if your results come back, then you're good, then you're good to go. But as I understand, while you're waiting for your results, because I don't really know how long the results take to come back, as you're waiting for your results to come back, you're quarantined, because they don't know how your results are going to come back. And I believe wherever they quarantine you, if it's a hotel that they actually make available to you, you have to cover the expenses. So don't quote me on that though. That's the information I've been getting from people that are staying in Uganda. So if you're traveling from the UK at the moment to Uganda, you have to do a bit of research to really be sure about that situation then. But what I am sure about, if you're flying from here and you're going to Uganda right now, not only do you need to test yourself to make sure you're negative, you have to travel within 72-hour window to get to Uganda. And also when you get there, if you're not fully vaccinated, you need to be tested again at Entebbe airport when you land. And as you wait for your results to come back, you have to be quarantined, and you might be paying for that hotel where they take you to be quarantined while your results come back. I hope I'm clear on that. And then obviously when your results come back, if you're negative, then you're good to go to wherever you're going. But if if your results come back and you're positive, I'm sure you stay quarantined. You will stay in that quarantine for wherever you're kept, and you still have to be covering your expenses and obviously pay for your treatment and stuff like that. So anyway, that's the situation going to Uganda right now, which was a bit different for when I traveled, because when I traveled back a few months ago, all I needed was my negative test from here, my negative certificate from here, and when I get there, I show it at the airport and I just go through. There was no testing at the airport in Entebbe, but that's changed right now. So moving forward, so now for UK residents, if you're traveling from Uganda and you're coming back, like for example, when I was coming back here, things have changed. I literally had to test to get my C19 test from Uganda before I come back, and also I had to fill in a passenger locator form, which you can find on uk.gov website. Now that passenger locator form, the reason why you need to fill that in is because when you come back into the country, they need to know where you're staying and how many people you're staying with, and also they need to be monitoring you religiously, because when you come back, you need, before you actually come back, that's the third part I need to go on to. When you do come back, you need, before you actually come back, when you're filling in that passenger locator form, you need to fill in another form that which requires you to order a self-testing kit to send it to your house before you actually leave the country you're coming from. So when I was leaving Uganda, not only did I need to fill in the passenger locator form to let them know where I'm going to be staying so they can monitor me and stuff, I also needed to pay for myself. I need to pay for my self-testing kit, which tells me that because I was going to be coming back, because I was going to be in quarantine for 10 days, the self-testing kit, I needed to test myself on the 2nd day and also on the 8th day of my 10-day quarantine. And basically that's the whole kit, and I had to order that kit before I actually left Uganda, because before I actually fly out from Entebbe, I had to show my reference numbers to show that I've ordered that kit, and also show them that I filled in my passenger locator form, to show them that reference number, and also show them my certificate that I tested before I go to the airport that I'm negative as well. So hope you guys are following me, because I don't really want to be I don't want you guys to be confused. But if you do get confused, just rewind the video and just rewatch it again. But that's what I'm trying to tell you guys. So traveling at the moment is a bit complicated, trust me. Before, as you know, you should all know, you used to just book your ticket and fly out to wherever you're going. But at the moment, because of this whole C-19 situation going on around the world, travel is very complicated at the moment. You have to go through the whole testing, and then you have to produce your certificates at the airport while you're flying out. And depending on where you live, where you're living, or where you're going, different countries have different requirements. So I urge you guys, before you think about traveling, do some research on the countries that you're traveling to and see what requirements they have for you to enter that country. And also do some research, if you don't know, on the country that you're staying in, which you shouldn't already, so that when you're coming back, you will know exactly what you're required to do before you come back. So like I was saying, I live here in England. So if I travel to any country in like a red zone, for example, which they literally advise you not to, but if I have to travel there and I come back, I don't, as I understand it, from a red zone country, coming back, the quarantine is different and is much costly. Because as I was saying, when I came back from Uganda, which is a country in the amber zone, right? I quarantined at home, at my home. So it was cool. So when I came back, I was able to do my 10-day quarantine at home. But if you're traveling to a red zone country and you come back, you're gonna need to be quarantined at at a hotel. You're not even allowed to go home for that quarantine. You have to be in the hotel, and you have to pay for that hotel as well. And as I understand it, again, don't quote me on this, do some research, but I've had a few people tell me this, that the hotels are a bit pricey. They can go up to like £1,000. So you have to ask yourself if it's really worth it if you want to travel to a country in the red zone and come back and pay £1,000 to be in a hotel being quarantined for 10 days. And also on top of that, remember, you still have to pay for that kit, self-testing kit, which costs over £200 as well. So not only is traveling so complicated at the moment, but it's really expensive at the moment because of this whole situation. So my advice to you guys, so you're probably thinking about time, so what are you saying, we shouldn't go on holiday? Look, you can go on holidays if you want to, as long as you go through all the the safety procedures with the testing and all of that stuff. But my advice to you, if you don't really need to go, maybe wait a little bit, because this whole situation is that especially here in England, the port countries, in sections, like I said, green section and amber section and the red section, it changes after like a few weeks or after a month. Some countries do move off the red list and go into the amber section, and some countries do move from the amber section into the green section. So if you can be patient, I would say wait a little bit. But obviously, like I said earlier, if you have an emergency and you really need to travel, go ahead and do so. But I just wanted to let you guys know what's going on at the moment and with the whole situation of traveling. So I have to make this video to explain to you guys what I went through when I traveled and when I got back. So I've been quarantined for 10 days and I just started going back to the gym, as you can imagine. So you're probably wondering, why, yo bro, you're at home right now, why are you wearing shades? I just got back to the to my house. I just came from the gym, my hat's here, and I thought, why not sit down and quickly do a video for you guys? So I really hope I was clear. If you're not clear with anything I said on there, just go into your country's websites, that depending on where you live. If you live in London or UK, go to uk.gov. All the travel information is on there regarding C-19 and the countries you want to travel to. And if you want to know what section the country you want to go to is in, whether they're in the green, amber or red section, check, uk.gov, and they'll give you all the information that you need. So I hope I was clear, and yeah, so I wanted to make this video for you guys in case I don't know, you might be somewhere and you might in a different country and you might want to travel to England, and you're probably wondering what are the requirements, and then hopefully this video was a bit helpful to you guys. So yeah, that's what it was. So for me, when I traveled from Uganda, coming back, I literally had to test myself again to make sure I was negative, to have that certificate before I travel back, and also fill in the passenger locator form so that my peoples, when I come back here, they'll know where I'm gonna be staying, where they can monitor me. And don't get it twisted, people. When you're doing your quarantine, when I was in quarantine, every day these guys call you and make sure you're doing your quarantine right. You're staying home, you're not going out there, mixing, mingling with people. They'll call you every day to make sure that, you're doing your quarantine thing properly. So they would call me every day and to make sure that I was home. So like I was saying, the C19 certificate is required when you're traveling back to London. You need to fill in the passenger locator form when you're coming back to let them know where you're going to be quarantining, and also you have to order your self-testing kit, which is over 200 and something pounds. I forgot how much it was. So basically, those are the requirements if you're traveling back, for example, from Uganda, where I was traveling from, back to England. Those were the requirements. But right now, when you're traveling from England to London, it's changed. If you're not fully vaccinated, when you land at Entebbe, you need to be tested again and obviously wait for your results to come back and stuff. But if you're fully vaccinated and you're traveling from England and you're going to Uganda, all you need when you're leaving is to take your C19 test, and as long as it's negative, you're good to go. And when you land at Entebbe, as I understand it, you will not be tested again and you will not need to be put in quarantine. So you're good to go. So my people, I didn't want to really make this video too long, and it's already, I can see it's going to 18 minutes. So hopefully this video is a bit helpful for you guys that are wondering about the requirements about traveling from the UK or to the UK. So I'll catch you on the next one. Kindly subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and also like the vids and hit that notification bell when you subscribe so that YouTube will notify you every time I put up a new video. Alright my people, take care of yourselves. Peace. Brah.